G'day, gang. I want to talk today about mindlessness and mindfulness. I think this, again, I keep doing this. I know, I do want to do smaller bites, but this is a pretty massive topic. And I think it really encompasses so much about personal intention. And this one I don't want to really talk about from a narrative perspective, because I first want to talk about it from a personal perspective. I think it's so easy to just live life on autopilot and get stuck in living in mindlessness without being intentional about the things that we do. And I think that for a lot of people, that is very much the default in everything that they do. And I don't mean that as any sort of insult or like reduction. I think more so I mean it in a sense of it being sympathetic and empathetic, because there's a lot that I do that I really don't think about. So I'm not exactly different, but I think too that I see myself in very much the same light as being mindless of a lot of things. But I think that you can't be mindful of everything. But I think there are a lot of topics that we should strive to be mindful of. We should strive to be aware of. So if you're not aware of these two terms, I think I should have outlined them already basically, but it's about mindlessness is about, living on autopilot. It's about not thinking things through. It's not about not being aware of stuff, and it's about not taking stock of stuff. Really, I think one of the easiest examples for us first worlders is to say something like mindlessly eating. You know, when you're snacking throughout the day and you didn't even realize that you did it, or just spending too much, not being aware of how many subscriptions you have. All of those sorts of things like that. We do that a lot. But being mindful is about being conscious of it. So being like doing a budget and being aware of where all your money's going. Calorie tracking and being aware of how much you're eating. That is definitely a suffering way to exist, but some of us need to do that. And I was in that category for a while of needing to actually track stuff. Again, suffering, but you have to do what you have to do sometimes. Mindlessness and mindfulness are very, very complicated subjects. Living your life with intention is exhausting, and most of us don't have the resources to do it on the best of days, let alone on the worst of days. So I think that's why it becomes a very complicated topic. This one, I am very, very interested to see how people feel about the topic in general. How do people feel about the things that they do mindlessly and the things that they do with intention? Do people have opinions on the difference between these two categories? I think that one of the biggest categories being mindless about is food. And I think that's why I wanted to put, I made a video about food, was because it's such an important topic. It really is. Being mindful about what you're putting in your body is, I think, one of the best things that you can do for your health. Being mindful of how much you are actually moving. Definitely something that I need to give myself a kick in the teeth for. That is something that's really, really significant. I think it's really easy to get repetitious in what we do without being aware of what we're doing. And one of the best things you can do for your health is to take stock of things, to evaluate, to be intentional, and to make really good life choices. And that's hard. I don't think that gets any easier over time. I think that every time that you're having to go, oh, look at this new topic that I never knew existed, that's fun. That's great. Like, I'm suddenly realizing that sleep is a thing that I have to be mindful about now. And I have to try and specifically manage that with intention, rather than just, I'm tired, I go to sleep, or it's this specific time I go to sleep. I'm having to jump through a lot of hoops to try to sleep well. But I think that does come with being sick for a while. That definitely puts it on hard mode, especially little crying baby. That definitely living life on hard mode there. But you still have to try to be conscious of that, I think. And that's only life advice in the sense that if you want things to be easier, because it sucks, it's complicated, and it's so difficult, and I don't think that being aware of a new problem and trying to fix it gets easier. I think that over time, for me, it's gotten harder. But that's just because life gets more complicated as you get older, that suddenly you have more responsibilities. And especially if you go down the route of parenting, that you have to suddenly be responsible for another human, it's pretty intimidating and pretty full on. So mindlessness is just an easy way to live. It really is. And especially if you don't have the resources to put towards it, which again, I think most of us don't. I think it's too easy. It's too easy to slip into the rut of just, it worked yesterday and I'm still alive, so let's keep going. But I think there's a trap in that way of thinking. I think it's easy to say, I'm not getting any worse, so that's fine. I just keep doing the same thing over and over and my life isn't getting any worse. But if you're not mindful of the things in your life could be getting worse and you're not aware of it. I had some weight gain that I didn't realize I was even getting because I wasn't keeping track. I just realized that I was getting uncomfortable in clothes and I thought that I was being fussy, and then I took stock, massively dealt with it, and felt a lot better. And now I'm aware of, I'm a lot more aware of what calories are, basically, which it was a completely new thing that I had to learn. That was very scary, but it was a learning curve, and I'm great now, super healthy, and that's awesome. And I think that we all have something like that in our life. And I think, again, I keep going back to food because it is such an obvious topic that a lot of us struggle with. Food abundance is awesome. It's truly, sincerely, and genuinely awesome. We are beyond fortunate, but it can also be a health trap that we need to be aware of. Seems bizarre to complain about something so profoundly extraordinary, and I don't intend to be complaining, more so than just being aware of how fortunate we are, that we do have to self-moderate, which isn't something that a lot of the world has to do, but we definitely do. Did all of you in the comments there, as viewers, did you ever have anything that you were completely mindless of and realized way too late and then had to do serious intervention of in your life? Do you find that mindfulness is something that you just don't have the bandwidth for, or are you great at it? I'm very interested to hear how people feel about this topic, just because it's one that has hit so close to home for me for a few times. So I'm definitely interested to hear how other people have gotten on with it. And if you see this problem in other people too, like if you see people are just doing things that aren't healthy, I think that in itself is an entirely different topic, because you can't change other people's behavior. You can only change you. But it's the classic of leading from example. If you can realize some people are struggling with something, and you have the bandwidth to help them with it, you have the energy. I keep saying bandwidth, but what I'm meaning is energy. I hope that's coming across clearly, but it's not always a completely perfectly understood term. But yeah, if you have the energy to help someone else by leading by example, I think that's just awesome. And I don't think a lot of people can do that. I think there have been instances in my life where I've been able to do that, but for the most part, I haven't. But it's really complicated to do that without coming off as being judgy, but just being helpful, because I don't think judgment ever helps anyone get out of a rut, unless they're in it so deep that they need a mental kick in the teeth. Don't kick someone in the teeth. Don't do violence on people, but yeah, sometimes people need a push. But yeah, big topic. Do you guys want me to keep to narrative, or do you like me talking about life stuff, life issues in general? Liking this video shows me that you want me to talk more about it. Yeah, dislike it if you don't like what I think about it. Comment anything you want to talk about, particularly how you feel about this topic. And yeah, if there's, like I said, if there's anything that you had that was mindless that suddenly, like, really struck you and sort of surprised you, very interested to hear about it. And if you want me to stick around on YouTube, subbing to my channel, honestly, is a game changer for me. So it would really help. Doesn't cost you anything to do any of those things, just a moment of your time, and it genuinely, sincerely and truly helps me out. But yeah, I want to hear about it. I want to know about you guys, and I want to know about this topic. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.